Today I'm so excited. I have two guests, not just one, but two. Double the trouble, I think. So we have Jerry Fischer and Todd Gipskin. And Gipskin, my apologies, Gipskin. And they are both in the movie business. So National Geographic, Todd was National Geographic Director of Media Services and is a lecturer and has traveled around the world, so has amazing stories to tell. And Jerry Fischer, is from the Jewish Federation and served in that capacity for over 35 years. These guys know what to do with their retirement because they are busier now than ever, doing wonderful things and coming in with jokes. One is the fisherman and the other one is the fillet master. So we can hear all about what they're up to. Their show is going to be called Henny the Movie.
Henny in Hanover.
Henny in Hanover. Okay, is the working title, and it's subject to change possibly is what I'm understanding. So please welcome my two new friends here, Todd and Jerry. So
thank
Todd
you,
and Jerry, thank you so much for being here. So how do we start? How do we just dive in deep with this whole story?
I think I'll start with a little background story. When I was running the Jewish Federation, we were originally just in the London business. The community we served was in London. And then we took on Norwich to the north. And we opened a program where we were serving seniors hot lunches,
Nice.
Kosher hot lunches.
Of course.
And my senior adult worker came into my office one day and said, Jerry, you got to go up to Norwich sometime and see some of the people that are coming to the kosher hot lunch.
Of course, there's Joel Etra up there, right?
Yeah, you know Joel. He's another speech pathologist.
That's right.
So
We
I
hang
said,
tight.
Why do I have to go up and see them? And she said, well, they dress funny and sometimes they smell a little funny. And I said, really? What do they smell like? And she said, they smell like a farm. So I went up and I met Jewish farmers from Basra and Danielson, who I never knew existed. And slowly but surely, I got to know all of these farmers. And then we incorporated Colchester into our area of service. And we started doing kosher hot lunch for seniors in Colchester. And we got another farmer. And that farmer was Henny Simon.
Oh, wow.
So that's how I first met Henny.
So Henny has a story to tell.
Henny, well, she's blind, she has stories to tell, but Henny was by then retired, but she had had a chicken farm. And when I made my movie, Harvesting Stones, about Jewish farmers in eastern Connecticut, she was one of the characters in the movie, one of the people in the movie. I got to know her pretty well. And the movie is a little bit, it's about her. I mean, the movie's about her. It's also about a retired World War II veteran, Ben Cooper, and their effort together to tell the stories of what they endured after years of not telling the stories to anybody. So.
Well, I'm so happy that you're helping get this story told, because these are important legacies to continue and to honor and respect. So dive in. It's your turn, Todd. What would you like to share about this whole experience?
Well, I've been making documentaries for over 50 years about just about everything.
Nice.
And it's fascinating what kind of comes into your life that you end up getting immersed in and learning about. And then you kind of internalize it and try to, through media, which is what I do, share it with other people. And not just share it, but make something that's compelling and thought-provoking and emotional that will make them think differently, maybe act differently. And part of this film, as Jerry mentioned, both Henny and Ben went through the war, Henny being a Holocaust survivor. But it's also about hate and what happens when it's unchecked, bullying, intolerance, which are unfortunately not issues that ended with the war, and they're ongoing. And we want to use her story as a way to address some of these problems and show how we have to speak up like she did and try to act and be proactive so that they don't take root like they did before and cause such horrors as the Holocaust.
Wow, that's really powerful. And I agree with you. I believe in the power of media and cinema and what happens in movies. Sometimes it's just a 2-hour film, but you have to watch it, and sometimes you want to watch it more than one time just because it is just such a visceral experience. And I totally am supportive of that. And there's an uptick right now, of course, I'm on the Board of Education in East Lyme, and unfortunately, if you read the paper and see what's going on in Norwich and New London, it's
frightening.
It's frightening.
Well, also, I mean, one of the reasons Henny spoke up was because of Holocaust denial, which, having lived through it, she, said, "Excuse me, I beg to differ. It did happen." And we're trying not to make a Holocaust film. There's many fine ones out there. So we're trying to make a film that obviously is informed by the Holocaust. That was her story and the basis for a lot of what she did. But we don't want to dwell on the imagery we've all seen and some of the horrors we've all seen. We want to kind of move beyond that to a different look at this and make it relevant, as Jerry calls it, kind of history through biography.
I like that. Now, is Henny still alive?
No.
No, she passed recently?
A few years ago. But there's even more to the story.
I'm sure.
Which is that the Jews of Germany were actually remarkably integrated into German society. And when Germany was taken over by the Nazis and began their horrible extermination program to literally wipe out the Jewish people, it was a shock of unbelievable magnitude to the Jews of Germany. And many Jews decided to leave, and they decided pretty quickly. But many Jews in Germany said, it's not going to get any worse, it's not going to get any worse, it's not going to get any worse. And Henny's father was one of those Jews. He had fought for Germany in World War I. He had earned the Iron Cross, which is not quite as prestigious as our military Medal of Honor, Congressional Medal of Honor, but it was a very prestigious military award.
Well, he risked his life.
He fought for Germany in World War I, and he kept telling his wife and his daughter, I fought for Germany. They're not going to do anything to us. We will overcome this. And then he was arrested. He was put in jail, and the only condition for him to get out of jail was that he would leave Germany. Because Germany, on the one hand, you could say, and they did want to kill the Jews, but they wanted to cleanse them. They wanted to be Judenrein. They wanted to get all the Jews out of Germany.
That was the expression they used, Judenrein.
Judenrein, yeah. So they let Henny's father out of jail on the condition that he leave the country, and he got passage to Shanghai.
Oh, wow.
Shanghai was actually a place where Jews could escape to.
We went to Shanghai and we actually visited the Jewish
ghetto.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
My children both lived in Shanghai for periods of time.
We're going to interview you about the ghetto.
Hey, I'm doing the interview here.
So Ludwig and his father got out, and Henny's mother and Henny got visas to follow him. And they were supposed to leave sometime towards the end of December. But on December 7th, Pearl Harbor was attacked.
Right.
Hitler declared war, and he canceled all exit visas. So Henny and her mother were trapped in Hanover. They couldn't get out. And then on December 14th of 1941, they rounded up all the Jews of Hanover. And by that time, there were only 1,001 Jews left. But they rounded up all 1,001 Jews, and they shipped them to the ghetto in Riga, Latvia. And many of them died. I would think most of them died. Henny survived, although her mother did die. in the ghetto.
And how old was Henny at this time?
16?
Something like that, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
She was born in 25, 35, yeah, 16.
16. And she actually got engaged while she was in the ghetto. So as I got to know her, she told me one time, you know, my engagement ring is in the Museum of Jewish Heritage in New York City.
Mm.
So the first shoot that Todd and I did was we went down to the Museum of Jewish Heritage.
And you found it.
And we found the ring. They
Nice.
took it out and we mounted it and we filmed it. But the man that she was engaged to was killed
Oh.
in a Sonderkommando he was ordered by the Germans to go out and clear minefields, and he was killed. But she kept this ring with her the whole time.
Of course, yeah.
So we filmed that. That's going to be in our movie,
Nice.
I hope. That's up to Todd.
Todd only smiles. Like,
We got a lot of content. Yeah.
we'll see. Right, right.
So that was that, and then we've done some others, and I think I'll let Todd talk about Ben Cooper, because one of the threads in the tapestry that'll be this movie is the fact that Henny Simon, after she had lost a fiancé, remarried after the war, lost her husband, remarried, lost that second husband, fell in love with Ben Cooper.
Oh.
And Ben Cooper fell in love with her, and they were in their 80s.
They were in their 80s when they united. And there's a website, if anyone is interested, they can go to hennythemovie.org, right?
Correct, yeah.
And Henny is spelled HENNYTHE, the whole word the and movie. So
Right,
if
right.
anyone wants to maybe
can
see,
see it, yeah.
they can see the ring probably
They
there.
can see the ring, they can see a trailer we've put together, and we'll be ongoing as we work through the project. We'll keep adding to the website.
Very nice. Okay. So I
So-
think that
so
you
we went-
just handed the baton to
Yes, yes.
Todd, Jerry. So
Because he did a beautiful job interviewing Ben Cooper.
Well, yeah, it's interesting because bringing history to life is always a challenge. I've done a lot of shows about things in the past, and like Henny, I can't interview her. We do have some good interviews with her from the Yale Fortunoff Testimony Archives. The Day did a very nice interview. Jerry did some. So we have her, on tape that we can use.
Are you having somebody play Henny or
No. Well, yes and no.
Perhaps.
There will be some scenes that there will be perhaps a Henny stand-in, a body double.
Nice.
But bringing history to life is interesting. We're going to deal with a lot of archival pictures, some archival footage, some recreations as need be to try to bring the story to life. We've interviewed 10 people so far, Ben Cooper being one of them. And his story is interesting because he was a medic in World War II, and he was one of the people who went into Dachau, the concentration camp, and helped liberate it. And he and Henny did not meet during the war. In fact, they didn't meet till 65 years or so
Right.
after the war. But they were on parallel paths about speaking about their experiences in the war. Ben would bring his artifacts and talk about what he did, and Henny would do the same, and she wrote a book. So they were kind of on parallel threads, and then they converged
Sure.
and started to speak together, and then fell in love. And it's kind of an inspirational story to think in your 80s there's still hope for love in life.
Of course
you know?
there is. There's always hope for love.
I wrote
Absolutely.
a book, and the main phrase in it was "never give up." So
Never give up.
Is
I love
and
that.
she never gave up. She talks about life goes on, no matter what horrors you endure. You can let them, kill you. As they say, what doesn't kill me makes me stronger, and it certainly made her stronger.
Of
and
course.
she didn't give up, and it might have taken a long time to speak out about it, but then she did it, very forcefully and very compellingly and very effectively, because we've talked to students and teachers who were profoundly moved by what Henny had to say and share, and we're trying to get that into it as well, into the movie, that you must speak up, and you can affect things many years later and for the future. Part of the subtitle is looking at the past and also looking to the future.
Absolutely.
And that's what Ben did, and he's a charming guy, just turned 100. He had
Just
his
turned
100th
And he's still
birthday.
alive.
He's still alive.
Oh, I
Not
have
only
to
is-
meet Ben.
Not only is he alive, he's sharp as a tack.
Yeah, he's
Oh,
a sweet guy.
when is he
so-
coming on my show?
Well, we should do that.
I would love that.
Yeah, so it's interesting, as I say, to bring history to life. And Jerry and I have a little bit different philosophies on that. He likes to sort of find the needles in the haystack, interview a lot of people, and then carve away what isn't needed and find the story there. As kind of a writer and someone who had to deal with very short form media, I like to sort of know where I'm going and kind of script it out and then add in things that seem to be missing.
So you're a perfect couple.
So far. We haven't gotten down to the arm wrestling over editing, but, I think we'll be able to solve it.
He's stronger than me on that, but I'm stronger on, I continue to fish.
There you go, fish and fillet.
He casts a very wide net. There's a lot of bycatch, and I said, I got to throw away half the fish, fillet the rest, serve it up nicely, hopefully in a very powerful piece of media.
But the thing that's amazing about both of their stories is that they didn't tell them for a long time
Right,
after their lives.
because they were, well, Henny, you said was 16 when this happened.
Yeah.
So she was 80 when she started to talk about it?
Just about.
Just about.
That's
Maybe 78.
amazing.
Yeah.
So she lived with this
How she lived with it.
experience,
it
and
was
every
hard.
day,
It
of
was
course,
And Ben Cooper didn't tell his family anything
they didn't know about it.
about World War II.
People
And
didn't talk about it. I have a friend who's 97, so a couple of years younger than your friend, but
Well, as I was writing a piece of narrative the other day, surviving is not forgetting.
right.
She survived the Holocaust. She obviously never forgot it.
No.
And there was a time and circumstances where she wanted to, share it and express it. Horrific as some of it might have been, but there are lessons there.
Absolutely.
And
She was
wanted-
provoked, as Todd said. She was
What-
very
what was
upset
the what
when
was the-
Holocaust denial was beginning
Oh.
to gain traction. She was very upset about that.
Hmm.
She was angry, actually, and Henny's not the type of person to get angry.
So a very calm, gentle spirit. I'm kind of feeling
Determined, though.
Yep,
Determined.
right.
Very
No, yeah,
determined.
not yeah.
Very determined.
But
The thing is, people, especially today, don't realize, I'm afraid, how important it is to put a check on hate speech.
I agree.
And they'll just dismiss it. Oh, this was just a little incident. This was just a little incident. I mean, we're having all of these issues now with horrible things being said at our local basketball games.
Oh, absolutely.
And
track and
track
soccer
everywhere.
and
Yeah.
yes, name
Yeah,
the sport.
And people have to realize that those unchecked things will have horrible consequences.
They do. Words matter.
Yeah.
Words matter.
Some of our interviewees said, it starts to cascade. A little thing, another little thing, another little thing. Before you know, you have an ocean of little things that have added up to something pretty
That are
pretty
overwhelming
terrible.
you. That are overwhelming you.
Mm.
The other beautiful part about this story, which Todd and I were supposed to go to Germany in December, but we were prevented from doing it by COVID.
Of course.
But another beautiful part of this story is that Hanover, as did many cities in Germany, invited their Jewish citizens to come back to that city.
So like a reconciliation
So a
of
reconciliation, an opportunity to, sounds strange, to almost like ask forgiveness or express.
you have to.
Express regret over what you did.
Mm-hmm.
And we have a video of Henny talking about how the first time they were invited, they really weren't sure they wanted to go.
No, it's a
And,
horrific thing to go back and
And then I went with her for her last trip. She took a grandson and the grandson's fiance and me on the visit to Hanover in 2016 for the 75th anniversary of the Roundup of the Jews.
wow,
And I was overwhelmed with what I saw.
I'm sure.
When we landed at the airport, like 12 people came to greet her at the airport when we landed at the airport. And then they whisked us off to a beautiful welcome dinner.
Nice.
And then there was a concert in her honor. And it was just remarkable, absolutely remarkable. And remember, her father said, I fought in World War I. And
Two, I thought you said.
no, he fought in World War I.
Oh,
He fought
okay.
in World War I. That's why he didn't leave.
Okay.
So
That's right. I'm sorry.
So the very last full day in Hanover, Henny is driving me around the city and showing me where her friends' houses were. And she said, you know, I love this city. I could come home again.
Oh, wow.
Right.
Wow.
It was a very big wow.
Yeah. And one of the things also I think we want to deal with is memories and memorials. How, when there are no Holocaust survivors left, how do you remember it? Is it up to the next generation, their children, partly, yes, but all of us too? And also, you know, the idea of crafting memorials of different sorts, whether they have letters carved in them or pictures, and that's well and good too, but you also have to be active. It's not just saying, well, we've put up a memorial and we've done our regrets, but it has to be a living kind of thing that carries forward. And you have to tell their stories and guard their memories. That's what you have to do.
It's just so important, the work that you're doing. So what was Henny's first step? You know, you said that she was experiencing people who were denying the Holocaust, but what was the first thing that she did? Did she have family that she started to speak with, or?
That's actually a bit of a tragedy. She didn't really speak with her kids too much about it. Her kids were, I think, upset because she would be having these horrible nightmares.
Of course.
And screaming, but they never really got an explanation.
Why she was having it. Did she start to write then? Did she?
And her husband that she married after the war, I think he was 16 years her senior. He was much older than her. And from the research I've done, it seems that he lost an entire family during World War II. So it might be understandable that he didn't want to talk about it either.
Right.
And
that's part of what that generation did, I think, right?
Bury things.
Yeah.
And understandably.
But you don't.
Her second husband, who was Bob Simon, who was also a World War II veteran, he encouraged her to speak. And I think he encouraged her to go to Yale University, to the Fortunoff Holocaust Testimonials Center there, and record her story.
Nice.
And what's wonderful for Todd and I is that they're cooperating with us fully.
I'm sure they would be thrilled to.
So we have the entire interview, and we're going to be using excerpts from the interview in the film.
Is that possible for us to access that before
it's
you're
not easy. It's like it's a research. You have to get research privileges to see it. But you could. You could do it. The thing is, they're thrilled, and we're happy that we're doing it. You know, Yale has this incredible archive of testimonies, and Steven Spielberg has an incredible archive of testimonies. Is it at UCLA or USC? I can't remember which one. And the challenge now is to somehow get parts of these testimonies out.
Exactly.
To get the stories heard or told again. So, I mean, our movie, we hope, CPTV has indicated that they'll broadcast the movie.
Lovely.
But we hope that it'll also perhaps get theater exposure. But more importantly, we hope it'll be used in the schools as well.
Well, that's what I would like to see too. That's just what I'm thinking while you're talking. And I think that if we could get it over at the Guard one night. How soon do you think that this is going to be up for viewing?
About a year.
A year.
So it's a long
We're planning
process.
to premiere it at the Guard.
We need to go to Germany. There's other places, Latvia, Riga, so forth, that
Maybe
we want
Poland.
to get to, maybe Poland. So there's a lot of that, and just a lot of research to be done, and just editing and music and all sorts of things that go into making a feature film.
Of course.
It doesn't happen quickly, and we don't have a Hollywood budget, so we're doing our best. And they can also make a donation at the website too, because
hennythemovie.org.
we are supported by a grant from the Connecticut Humanities Council.
Lovely.
Which is good, but that's a start. You know,
It's a start. We need more money, and we're thrilled that the Guard Arts Center is our fiduciary.
Nice.
So any donation that you make is tax deductible. But more importantly, because it's the Guard, and thanks Steve Siegel for this, we can apply for grants.
Nice.
And the foundations will give us the grants because they're going to a not-for-profit and we're not making any profit at all. We're losing money and time.
Post-income years, right?
Post-income.
Post-income years, but you're making such a difference, and
Yeah,
I'm so proud of you for
thank
the
you.
work that you're doing and the energy behind it and the importance of it. And like you said, it becomes an ocean, a wave, right?
Yeah.
Somebody just says something mean or hateful, and
It's
then
horrible. It's horrible.
and you're seeing that a lot when you're.
And the other issue that we have to address, I think, is people will say, oh, there'll never be another Holocaust, there'll never be another genocide. That's not true.
Right.
That's not true.
Right.
And even if it was true, you've bought into a construct that one life doesn't matter. They have to kill millions of
Right.
people, and then we'll get upset.
Mm-hmm.
The fact of the matter is, one life matters. If somebody is called the N-word, and then somebody else goes and kills because of the N-word, that's a whole world that was destroyed.
Right.
That's right.
A whole life.
A whole life and that person's world.
Yes.
And the Yazidis, the Kurds, you know, there still are horrible things happening
Unfortunately.
on a large scale, but also on a small scale. And
Mhm.
we've had some trials in America in the past 2 years over policemen and over individuals chasing down a black man and shooting him. And thank God they've been convicted and life without parole. But these are results of prejudice also.
Right. And
And-
people don't even check themselves, I think, like
Yeah.
what you said. Like,
Well, as I did a show about the Vietnam memorial and all those carved names on it, and one of the lines I wrote was, each 1,000 is 1,000 more, because everyone has a family, has a mother or father or whatever. So it's not just that one person. It's not just the 6 million, just 6 million. It's all their connections and also the echoes of that horror that live on
Of course.
and go on. It doesn't end, and that's what I think is an important thing too, to realize that while an event may be over, while history sort of finalizes and finishes, it still has legs, it still has echoes, and those can take root again, and we have to be very, very vigilant, very careful.
well, I'm hoping at least that some of our high school students and even some of our college students could listen to this interview today to get a little bit of a sneak peek for the work that you're doing,
Great,
the
thank
important
you.
messages that you have given me and our audience today. And I'm definitely going to look at Henny the movie.org and find out a little bit more about what's going on and support your efforts.
Oh,
They're
thank you.
valiant. I
Thank you very much.
appreciate what you're doing.
Thank you.
Is there any last words? We just have a minute left. Anything that you want the audience to know or hear? Be kind, be gentle, understand, walk in another person's shoes.
Be compassionate.
Okay.
Be compassionate and be
Tolerant.
empathetic and tolerant.
And realize that it could be you.
It could be you.
Yeah.
Well, we'll end on that. Thank
Okay.
you, Todd. Thank you, Jerry.
Thank you very
Please
much.
come back. Namaste.
you,
Yes,
Kate.
thank you.
Take care.